Greetings, astronauts, and welcome back to Astro Candy. Hello, I'm Raven, your host, and I'm excited to share with you today 6 steps to brainwash yourself in order to manifest your desired reality. Now, I'm going to read a quick little excerpt from my Mind Over Manifesting guided digital journal. This is something that you can pick up on Etsy. Pick up. It's just download it from Etsy. Shop astrocandy.etsy.com. I will link it in the show notes. But I'm just going to read this to you because this is how the journal starts. It's a guided journal with prompts. But it says this: your mind is powerful. The thoughts you think inform your beliefs, which influence your actions, decisions, and interactions with the world, and attract people, places, and experiences into your life. When you master your mindset, you can manifest your desired reality. According to Healthy Brains by Cleveland Clinic, your brain processes 70,000 thoughts each day. And we don't think twice about most of our thoughts because we have so many of them, but we do have the power to choose which ones we focus on. In his book, The Power of Now, author and spiritual teacher Eckhart Tolle asks us to observe our thoughts instead of identifying with them, because a thought is just a thought. It's when we accept the thought as true that it becomes belief. So knowing that, I'm asking you, what thoughts are you paying mind to? Are they uplifting? Thoughts like, I'm accepted, I'm loved, I'm joyful, I'm worthy. Or are they upsetting? Thoughts like, I'm discontent, I'm angry, I'm a victim, I'm broken. Since our thoughts inform our beliefs and our beliefs influence the actions that create our reality, we have to choose our thoughts wisely. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because this is the basis of brainwashing yourself so that you can change your mindset and manifest your desired reality. So we've established that our thoughts create our emotions, which inspire the actions that determine our reality. I know it's a lot to follow. You may have to listen to this a couple times. But let me tell you how I figured this out in practice. And it happened when I was high while watching The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. True story. So I had taken a gummy. Nothing crazy, but I got to that point where suddenly everything just feels so real. Like you're aware that you're alive. You're aware of your breath. You can feel your pulse under your skin and honestly just reverberating throughout your entire body. You could swear that you can feel the blood in your veins. And so I'm watching The Housewives, and if you've ever seen it, you know that they are just bickering all the time. I mean, every minor conflict escalates into this full-out, blowout argument. And so as I'm watching this, I'm realizing that my heart rate is increasing and I am feeling anxious. And I stopped for a second and I was like, wait, why is my nervous system so out of whack right now? Like, why am I feeling so heightened with anxiety? This is like, I don't understand. And in that moment, I realized it was because I was watching The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and I was so enthralled in their argument about who the fuck knows what, and thinking about it, that it was in turn elevating my heart rate, making my heart beat a little bit faster, making my palms sweat. It was raising my anxiety. And that's how I knew that our thoughts, and in that moment, it was like me thinking about The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, affect our emotions. And in that case, I was feeling anxiety. And from our emotions, we take action, and that action creates our reality. So now that I've caught you up on that, I decided, after I figured this out, to make my brain my bitch. I was like, you know what? If this means that if I can not control my thoughts, because sometimes you just can't control the thoughts that pop into your brain, but if I can choose the ones that I focus on, then that will change my emotions, which will change my actions, which will change my reality. But it starts with choice. And thus began my experiment to brainwashing myself. I say experiment because this was very much based on a hypothesis I had, which was based on all of the research and reading I had done about law of attraction, manifestation, reality shifting. And so I did this experiment and then drew a conclusion. So if you want to try it for yourself and see how it goes, I'm going to tell you how I did it, how I'm doing it, I will say, because the experiment is effective, needs a little bit of tweaking, but this is what I've been doing. This is how refined I've been so far. And I want to share it with you because a lot of you wanted to hear about how to brainwash yourself in order to manifest your desired reality. So let's go. Starting with step 1. You must first decide that you're going to shift your reality. You got to make the commitment to brainwashing yourself. Like any commitment, there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. So you have to choose to stick it out. You know, when we make a decision, we've already acknowledged that there are parallel realities. For example, if you work in sales and you've been doing that a decade and that's all you know, and you're like, I'm Raven, I work in sales. But then you decide, you know what would be really cool if I pivoted my career and decided to go to nursing school. I've always wanted to be a nurse. Yeah, that's it. I'm going to be a nurse. I'm going to go to nursing school. That right there, that decision means you've just acknowledged that there is a reality where you're a nurse. And so what I'm saying is, when you make a decision to do something, in this case, you're making the decision to shift realities, you're acknowledging right now that alternate realities exist that you're going to tap into. It is a small first step, but it's a powerful one, like fully deciding, fully committing. I mean, how many times do we sit in that waffling energy like, should I, shouldn't I don't know. I need to think about it. No, I need you to decide. I need you to get out your journal and write, I, insert name here, decide to fully commit to brainwashing myself and I'm going to manifest my desired reality. Make that firm commitment. Cast it out into the universe. That's step 1. Step 2, acknowledge that perception is reality. What do I mean by that? What does anybody mean by that? I mean, that is a very common phrase. Perception's reality. Okay, what the fuck does that mean? I'll tell you what it means. In a simple context, it means that how you perceive the people around you and your interactions with them and the experiences that you have, your perception of all of that creates your reality. Say you're in a relationship and you text your partner and you do not hear back from them. Your perception of this could be one of many things, but let's boil it down to 2 things. Perception 1 is, oh, they're just busy. They're preoccupied. They got tied up with something. They'll get back to me later. Perception 2 is, oh my God, something must be direly wrong. They must be dead in a ditch right now because I haven't heard from them and this is so out of their characters and it's so unusual and oh my God, what's happening? You see the difference? How you're perceiving that situation is now creating your reality, whether that's the truth or not. Is he dead in a ditch? Is he just preoccupied? You don't know. But right now, whatever you decide to perceive it as is your truth. And usually, if we're going to inception this whole thing, usually your truth, the way you perceive things, is based on your internal belief system. For example, if you've got a secure attachment to your partner especially, and they don't text you back within a reasonable time frame, then you're thinking, yeah, he's just busy. I mean, I'm sure he'll get back to me. If you have an anxious attachment where you are sure that the person you love is going to leave you, they're going to abandon you without a word, it's just going to happen one day, and you're so terrified of that, then your perception is probably going to be the latter, where you're like, oh my God, they're dead in a ditch, or they're cheating on me, and when they come back, they're going to break up with me. So that is how perception creates reality. Now we're going to matrix this shit, okay? I'm talking red pill, blue pill right now. What if we changed our perception of reality, of life here on Earth? I'm going to give you 2 options. The first option is you go about life thinking that things happen to you. You have no control. You are at the mercy of your experience on this planet. You're at the mercy of people, places, things, and you have no control. It's just all happening to you. Or what if your perception of this reality of life right now is that you have total control? I think about this like I think about lucid dreaming. I don't know if this has ever happened to you, but it's basically when you're sleeping, you're dreaming, and then you become aware that you're dreaming. And when you become aware that this is all just a dream, it's like the controller gets passed to you and then you are making empowered decisions in your dreams. I've done this before. When I've realized that I'm dreaming, I'm like, okay, where should we go? I want to go hang out with my parents. I want to go see my ex, torture him a little bit. I want to go to an amusement park. I want to, the decision is yours. You're making all of those you're in control, is my point. It's like in Divergent, the movie Divergent with Shailene Woodley and Theo James. They have these simulations that they do. And when you become aware that you're in the simulation, that is when you have the power to not just choose your adventure, if that makes sense, but also to do things that kind of bend reality that you wouldn't normally do, the things that are outside of yourself. You make decisions that you wouldn't normally because, hey, I can. And this is just a game. I'm asking you to treat life like a game. Remind yourself that this reality that we're in is all just a simulation. And you have total control over your next move. That's what I meant by I'm about to go the Matrix on you. Red pill, blue pill. You choose. You can live in ignorant bliss, or you can know what the fuck is good and how you have way more jurisdiction over life than you think. So now that we've decided to shift realities and we've acknowledged that our perception is reality, you gotta set reminders. Post-it note your entire house with affirmations that remind you that there is another way besides the way that you've known. I realized this very early on in my own experimentation that I would start off very gung-ho, I'm brainwashing myself and I'm in control of my reality. But then I would start getting caught up in what was happening around me and very quickly forget because you haven't created those neural pathways yet to help you with those new beliefs. And so that is why it's so important to set reminders with those Post-it notes. They're all over my house. I look like a crazy person, but it's important because it reminds you every time you see them, you're reminded, oh, right, I'm in control of my reality. I have so many different affirmations all over my wall. I'm looking up right now. This one says, what is my authenticity and truth right now? I've got one on my computer that says, I can see my wildest dreams and deepest desires manifesting in my reality. I have one in my shoebox. I'm in my closet, by the way. That's where I record everything. I am open to receiving an abundance of wealth and prosperity. And one more. Yeah, I told you they're everywhere. And this is just my workspace. I am authentically content and confident regardless of my circumstances. These are so important because these little reminders help you disrupt the neural pathways that you've already created. Those pesky neural pathways that you've just been imprinting over and over and over and over again. Because when you do something consciously long enough, it creates a neural pathway in your brain. And then the thing that you've been doing becomes subconscious. Like snoozing the alarm every morning. At one point, I know you probably don't remember, but that was a conscious decision you were making. Every morning you were like, oh, shouldn't I snooze? But then you started doing it every fucking day and you did it for so long that it became subconscious and now you don't even realize you're doing it. Now you wake up 30 minutes past your alarm because you accidentally hit off instead of snooze and you're like, what the fuck? You know, I recently created a neural pathway in my brain to make my bed every morning. And at first, this was a conscious thought. At first, I had to get up and be like, Raven, make your damn bed. Like I had to force myself to do it. But now, after doing it every morning consciously, telling myself that, then it gets buried in your subconscious and then you just do it and you don't even realize that you've done it and it's done. In fact, now if my bed is left unmade, that is the disruption in my neural pathway. Like I look at it and my eye starts twitching because I'm like, oh my God, that bed should be made. Why isn't it made? I know that this might go against what you've learned about the subconscious mind and neural pathways, but let me challenge you with this. What if it works in tandem? A lot of people who practice the law of attraction and manifestation talk about going into the subconscious mind to reprogram, and that's not wrong. There is absolutely a time and a place where you need to sink into that subconscious mind and do the work and heal. That's why there's hypnotherapy. I mean, people can go into a session with a hypnotherapist as a smoker and then come out repulsed by smoking. Like, that is one way to rewire your brain. But according to Dr. Wayne Dyer, what is unconscious was once conscious. So if you want to create subconscious beliefs, you can do it from a conscious state, but it requires repetition and discipline. I'm going to use my mom as an example. She is a smoker. She was a smoker, but guess what? She is making the conscious decision every day to be a non-smoker. So she has turned to alternatives like the gum, the nicotine gum, and the patches, and she's making those conscious efforts to put down the cigarette. And I'm so proud of her, by the way. She's been smoking for a really long time, and she's been smoke-free now for like 2 months. And that's incredible because it is harder, right? It's harder to make a conscious decision to change a habit and rewire your neural pathways. But I have no doubt that in 3 months, 4 months, 6 months, 1 year from now, it's going to be so subconscious. And she is officially going to identify as a non-smoker. If you need help with your affirmations, I created digital affirmation cards that you can download instantly, print out, and then cut out. And you can tape them up all around your house or place them where you'll see, like on your desk, on your fridge, like with a magnet, in your wallet. They're like wallet-sized. So if you want to utilize that, you can go to shopastrocandy.etsy.com. You can't miss it. It's at the top of the page, the affirmation cards, which are intended to help you manifest. They are $5.55, and I will also link them in the show notes. So now that you've got reminders set all around the house for when you inevitably forget that you're brainwashing yourself, because trust me, it's going to happen. It's going to happen until it becomes a habit. It's time to move on to step 4, and this is where the discipline really comes in. Step 4 is all about raising your vibrational frequency. I'm calling this the energetic diet. When you're choosing a different reality, or at least a reality that's different than your own, you have to think differently. You have to choose different thoughts, especially if you're calling in abundance and wonder and love and all of those like high vibrational frequency emotions. You need to align with that frequency. So when it comes to raising your vibrational frequency, it's important that you choose wisely. Every moment of the day, we have a choice between living on a high vibrational frequency or a low vibrational frequency. How can you tell which one you're on? Well, it's based on your emotions. Like I said, we think tens of thousands of thoughts every day. Some we're aware of, some we aren't. But you can tell your thoughts based on your emotions. Like, your emotions clue you in to what you're ultimately thinking and ruminating on. Now, the highest emotional frequencies are enlightenment, peace, joy, love. These feelings are led by the higher self. That's what we're aiming for. And then there's reason and acceptance and willingness. Those are like just below those, still on the higher end, and they're considered free thinking. Now, the lowest emotional frequencies are shame, guilt, apathy, grief, and fear. These emotions are controlled by the outside world. And then slightly above these are desire, anger, and pride, which are emotions that are reactive to the outside world. Basically, the lower emotional frequencies are dictated by your 3D reality, and the higher ones are dictated by your higher self. A lot of us live in the low emotional frequency state. I mean, most weeks I feel some sort of shame or guilt or grief or fear or anger or pride or desire. And these are normal human emotions that we're, of course, meant to experience. It's a spectrum, and we're going to inevitably experience them all. But for the sake of brainwashing yourself, you want to try to lean into that love and joy and peace and enlightenment. So therefore, it's important to choose people, places, and things that keep you in that high vibrational frequency of love and joy and peace and enlightenment, things that light you up, set you on fire, not in the bad way, though, like in the good way, like, oh my God, I'm so happy and joyful I could burst. Here's some examples of that. Eating fast food versus eating healthy whole foods. Fast food, it's got a low vibe. You cannot deny the greasiness, the saltiness, the butteriness of whatever it is, chicken wings, fries, Taco Bell tacos. I mean, trust me, I like to indulge, but usually after I do, I feel some sort of guilt or shame. However, when I'm eating healthy whole foods, I feel joyous. I feel at peace. I feel content, satisfied. Those are higher emotions. Watching a documentary about a serial killer versus watching a show with an inspirational message like, I don't know, Ted Lasso or something. I think that's like a happy-go-lucky show, right? I don't know. I only saw a few episodes and I couldn't be sure because everybody was so mean to Ted, but you get it. Watching the documentary about a serial killer probably going to incite feelings of fear. However, watching a show with an inspirational message or a movie with an inspirational message, actually just watched the movie The Secret with, her name evades me, but she used to date Cruise, Katie Holmes. Wow, we got there. There's a movie with Katie Holmes that's very uplifting, and I like to watch it when I want to raise my vibrational frequency. Another example, living in a home with dirty dishes piled in the sink, clothes strewn about, trash laying around. I don't know about you, but when that happens to me, I'm usually feeling some sort of shame and guilt versus living in a home that's clean and tidy and everything's in its place. That makes me happy. It sparks joy. I feel at peace. These are situations and circumstances that happen all the time and we usually don't think twice about it. But because we are actively trying to brainwash ourselves, I really need you to choose wisely. Every choice leads to a different path, leads to a different reality. So choose the higher vibrational frequency people, places, and things. In order to raise your vibrational frequency, you also need to censor negativity. I got some rules here. I know nobody likes rules, but I'm just trying to help you out, okay? So if you want to brainwash yourself and really raise your vibe and manifest your desired reality, no consuming books or podcasts or music or TV or movies with negative messaging that brings down your mood or activates your nervous system. So if it makes you feel bad or bad about yourself, don't read it, don't watch it, don't listen to it. No negative self-talk or complaints about people and situations or circumstances in your current reality. The negative self-talk is getting you fucking nowhere. The complaining about people and things and circumstances and situations is getting you fucking nowhere. And this is also me yelling at myself because I have to remind myself this constantly. It's so easy to get caught up in the 3D, which we'll talk about. Your biggest enemy in brainwashing yourself is your current reality. And like I said, we'll talk about it. So while you're censoring negativity, I also want you to seek out positivity. So that means reading books, listening to music and podcasts, and watching TV and movies with positive, uplifting messaging that elevates your mood or relaxes your nervous system. Binaural frequencies, I like to put those on throughout the day because it just keeps my mood high. I like to get out for fresh air. Nature walks is great. I like to read self-help and inspiring books. I like to listen to podcasts that help me be my best self. Movies with positive messaging. I like to do things that relax my nervous system, whether that's like meditation or going to get my nails done or getting a massage. Those are the things you want to lean into. Seek positivity. Seek things that bring you a sense of love, peace, joy. And lastly, in raising your vibrational frequency, it's so important to practice gratitude. Practice gratitude. I like to do this by writing down in my calendar. I have a calendar specifically dedicated for gratitude. So instead of writing down like my to-dos, I actually write down everything that I'm grateful for that day. I do that at the end of the day. Highly recommend. But whatever it is, maybe you want to wake up and just list real quick 5 things you're grateful for. Or throughout the day, when you are grateful for something, you acknowledge it. Like, oh, I'm so grateful that this happened to me, like whatever it is. But you want to practice a gratitude attitude. That is going to be your hardest step. Step 4 is your hardest because these are new habits that you're implementing when you're used to maybe kicking back and watching the crime docuseries or stopping at Wendy's or McDonald's or used to, leaving your dirty dishes in the sink overnight. You're going to have some growing pains here. But I'm telling you, when you actively, consciously work to change, to tweak these things, it's going to make a huge shift in your reality. Step 5, I want you to get an accountability buddy. Just one person that knows that you're trying to brainwash yourself so they can hold you accountable. I'm guilty of it all the time. Texting my mom or calling my mom and bitching and complaining about something. So when I told her I was brainwashing myself, now she stops me. Now she's like, remember, Raven, you wanted to brainwash yourself. Are you sure you want to complain right now? And I'm like, oh, you know what, Mom, you're right. I don't want to. Don't get me wrong. You will have instances where you just need to purge. Write it down in a journal, but don't entertain it. Don't let it fester. Don't harp on it, is my point, because you get more of what you think about, and we're trying to really get out of our conscious mind those negative thoughts. Step 6, final step, stay disciplined and committed. This is maybe the most important step in this process. This step is going to trip up a lot of people because you know what? The truth is it's hard to change your thoughts and to change your limiting beliefs. It's hard to change your habits. And what we tend to do is we'll do this whole brainwashing thing for a day or 2 or a week or 2 weeks if we're lucky, but then we don't see a change in our reality. And because of that, we start to doubt the process. And that is where you are going to go incredibly wrong. That's where you're going to undo all of the work that you've done. I'm going to try to explain this in the simplest of terms. And it's going to be hard for me because this is more of a visual thing. But right now, we are living in a 3D reality. Our body is operating in the 3D physical world. However, when we are thinking about alternate realities and visualizing them and thinking about what we want our dream life and what's that going to look like, that's the 5D. Now, in order for things to get from the 5D to our 3D reality, in order for me to manifest this life of me living on the West Side and I own a 1-bedroom condo and I'm a voice actor making $30,000 a month, I don't fucking know, just say. In order for that reality to manifest into the 3D, it's going to take time. There is a lag time. And so that's why it's so important to, when we are in our current reality thinking about what we want, we ignore what's happening in our reality right now. We ignore the bullshit. We ignore the unexpected bills that are coming our way. We ignore our annoying fucking boss. We ignore the fight we just had with our friend. We ignore, I don't know, just think of all the things that, for example, my apartment still leaking water, ignoring it. Because this is not the reality that I'm subscribing to. The current 3D reality I am in is not the one I want. I need to be focused on the one I want to manifest in the 5D West Side apartment, 1-bedroom condo, walk-in closet so I can do my voiceover work. I'm just making all kinds of money. I've got so many recurring VO clients. That is where I'm living. And so it requires a level of fucking delusion. I'm not going to lie. You are going to be living in la la land. You're going to be living in the 5D while your body is here in the 3D. I know this sounds crazy, but please try to understand this. Because if you start acknowledging the 3D and you're like, oh, this isn't working. Things aren't happening. My neighbor is still so fucking annoying and my condo is a piece of shit and I just got another medical bill in the mail and I'm never going to become a millionaire at this rate. Then you're reinforcing the current reality and that's going to start to manifest back to you. And you're confusing the universe. It's like, well, what does she want? Because now she's focusing on her current reality. Is that what she wants? Because it's not about what we want. It's about what we're focusing on. What are you focusing on? Where your attention goes, energy flows. So what thoughts and reality and beliefs are you focusing on? Because that's what you're going to get more of. So it's going to require you to ignore the bullshit happening in the 3D and just focus, eyes up on what it is that you want. It's going to take discipline. It's going to take commitment. It's going to take fucking delusion, but you got this. One thing I wanted to leave you with is just how exactly I mind my mind, like what my day looks like, if it's going swimmingly and perfect, and the structures and habits I'm trying to instill in my routine in order to reinforce the brainwashing process. So in the morning, I like to do 5 to 10 minutes of meditation, clearing the mind, getting any intuitive insights or downloads from the universe or my higher self. Throughout the day, if anything comes up that triggers me, that triggers fear, anger, basically trips up my ego, I will do EFT tapping. More on that in another episode. It's a way to rewire your neural pathways, but that is a support that I use. I also have subliminal affirmations with the Post-it notes and my binaural frequencies, which also support high vibrational energy. And then at night, I do my gratitude journaling and/or any subconscious reprogramming. So if I had a big trigger or something that I really need to look into and understand like why this has so deeply affected me, then I will do sort of like a hypnosis and go back and try to heal that. And that's at night. So I'm not saying that I do this every fucking day or I do all of it every day or even half of the week. I'm just saying that these are the tools and techniques that I have implemented when I need them. And they're also tools and techniques that best support the brainwashing process. At least so I've discovered in my, again, experiment. This is all just an experiment. And this all started with a hypothesis. And if I had to come to a conclusion, I would say this. I would say that this is 100% effective if you stay disciplined and you stay committed. I would say in like 60 to 90 days, you can effectively rewire your neural pathways. Doing all of this might take a little bit longer if you fall off, but it is effective. I have seen shifts. When I stop negative self-talk, when I'm consuming high vibrational books, podcasts, music, TV, movies, when I stop complaining, when I stop focusing on the negative situations or circumstances in my current reality, when I stop passing judgment and criticism, when I am doing all of this, my meditation, my gratitude, and ignoring the 3D and focusing on the 5D, it is effective. And I want to hear if it's effective for you too. So if you want to do this with me, let's. I think it'll be a lot of fun and I'd love to hear how it goes. So let me know if you do it. Let me know how it goes. You can DM me at Astro Candy Podcast on Instagram. And yes, good luck to you. Thank you so much for listening to this episode and really just the podcast in general. I just so appreciate you and your listenership and would love it if you would rate 5 stars on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Subscribe. That will get you new episodes downloaded to your phone instantly, like right when they come out, and or tell a friend. Also, just a quick note about next week. I'm going on a spring break, just 1 week off on the podcast, just to kind of relax and regroup. So yeah, I will see you not next week, but the week after. Okay, bye.